Okay.
Donald Jeffries. Author of Hidden History and Survival of the Richest. Host of The Donald Jeffries Show. Billy Ray Valentine. Host of the Infinite Fringe podcast. Researcher, truth seeker from the Bronx, New York. Tony Arterburn. Radio host, combat veteran, precious metals analyst, and alt historian. Together, they take on the headlines of the week, decode the disinformation, and plow through the mainstream propaganda. Unauthorized, unscripted, and unintimidated. This is America Unplugged.
What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a lot to eat, and had fun. It's officially Christmas season. Hope everybody had a good time with their families. What's going on? It's America Unplugged. The War on Reality Report. I am here with Tony Arterburn and Don Jeffries. Tony, the wisest of all the wolves. How was Thanksgiving, sir?
It was fantastic. It's great to be back with you and Don.
Good.
Did you have plenty of turkey? Did you get some turkey up there in New York? They serve turkey there, right?
Of course they serve turkey, but I had none of it. Donald Trump pardoned a couple of the worst turkeys in the history of turkey. He went ahead and pardoned them. They were trafficking God knows what into the country, and he decided to pardon them. So I boycotted turkey this year. I did have some of the best lasagna ever in the history of lasagnas. And I know I sound like Donald Trump right now. It's the best. It's the greatest. It's so good. But I mean it. It was so freaking good. My mother-in-law is the best cook on the planet. So I had like a tray of that shit. And that's all I had. I boycotted everything else. I was just like, just give me the lasagna.
Turkeys don't fly, but they flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. That's why they were pardoned. Those turkeys.
That's what happened. They flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, and they had the inside scoop on what went down. They're good friends with Ghislaine Maxwell, and they needed to be pardoned ASAP.
I understand now. I think I understand now.
ASAP.
J.D. Vance said that if you say you like turkey, you're lying. He said that to some troops. He said you're full of shit. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, he said that nobody goes and gets a turkey other than Thanksgiving and makes a turkey.
I make
turkey sandwiches.
Turkey, yeah, I eat turkey sandwiches all the time. I have ground turkey meat sometimes.
Turkey
That's
burgers.
what I used to, right. That's what I used to make my lasagna. What's up, Don? You seem like you want to talk. What's up, Don? The legendary Don Jeffries is here. Tell him what's up, sir.
Yeah, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We did. We're traditionalists. I've never had lasagna on Thanksgiving, but we're traditionalists. Always have turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce and green bean casserole and all that stuff. So it's great. So if you decide to frame me for a crime and execute me, I've said that's probably going to be my last meal request, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know how you eat at a time like that, but that's I think that's the number one seed at this point.
Yeah, no, fantastic stuff. I eat lasagna every Thanksgiving. We have a giant tray of. We had 3 trays of lasagna actually. I took the conventional one, of course. Jackson T. Barrett is saying that we're late again. Our apologies, sir. We're trying.
He's sharpening his swords already, definitely.
So we have a lot to talk about as per usual, man. I do want to talk about the lovely, the talented, the gorgeous Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'm a big Marjorie Taylor Greene fanboy now. Of course, we still don't agree on a lot of things, but opposites attract. It's a beautiful relationship that we have, spawned together, given her latest stance on Donald Trump. But I'm very happy to see her turn, even though there's a lot of things that what's going on here. A lot of these people are true believers in what Donald Trump actually had to say. The problem is Donald Trump doesn't believe or does anything that he actually puts out. And now these people are seeing it. Like Elise Stefanik here in New York must be one of the worst people on the planet. She She had a problem with Trump over Mamdani, and I can understand because Trump said all this shit, and then he turned around and was like, "Oh, I love you. You're the greatest. You're going to do a great job in New York." But at least Stefanik legit believes that this guy is a jihadist. So these are true believers in the message. But Donald Trump, who is the king of the message, doesn't believe in it himself. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I think that's what's going on here. These people are, some of them, because there's still 36% of people that think he's doing an excellent job. And that, I think, is the cult. But some people are snapping out of it and are like, oh my God, this guy doesn't even represent what I believe. He's just all over the place. And so we're seeing that now. So we will talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's decided to say peace and walk out. And I think she's serious. Could be very wrong. I think she's serious. AOC's been attacking her as of late. And I think that's a bad move. I think you should embrace these things and be like, good, you did that. Good. Now let's try to find a solution together, to all of this. We do want to talk about the shooter that shot the National Guard's members. Unfortunately, one has passed away. God bless. And the other one is in critical condition in the hospital fighting for his life. And of course, the shooter is in the CIA or was affiliated with the CIA, has CIA links. We can't escape this, Don. It's hold on, let me take this off. Look at that. I left the thing on. We can't escape this no matter how much we want to. I was telling Tony off the air. I was like, man, I'm like, what the hell? First, he gets fully vetted by the Trump administration, and they said he was good to go. And then it turns out that he's been working with the CIA for years upon years upon years. It's just like, what the hell is this about? All right, I'm going to Don first, then I'll go to Tony. What's up, Don?
Well, I don't know a whole lot about that shooting. I've had people tell me, I don't look at these things, and typically when I do, I always end up thinking they're fake. And I've had people tell me that it looked like a hoax. So I just haven't gone there yet. It's, because I'm sure I'll be convinced that it is a hoax. That's what usually happens if the people are persuasive enough. But I think that, and we have Harps is cruel, calling her mug trader globalist, almost like Trump's calling her Marjorie Trader Brown for some reason. He changed her name from, I don't know why, I mean, he didn't even give her her name anymore.
Because Brown, like, this is his explanation. Mm-hmm. Green, like when grass is green, it's healthy, but then when it decays, it's brown. So she is Marjorie Trader Brown. Go ahead.
That's a stretch.
It's like someone that you might have known at elementary school, really, with the name calling. I mean, it's just a ridiculous thing. This guy's the president. But you hit the nail on the head, Billy Ray, about what I said. That's why I developed the idea of the Trump and Son Project, because more and more people are now saying that this guy his entire thing is not doing stuff. His latest thing was he tried at the idea again, Tony. I heard yesterday, I think it was, about that maybe we can do away with all income taxes with these tariffs. He keeps trotting out these great things that everyone would support, and he has no intention of doing it. It'll just like the $5,000 Doge check, then there's another $2,000 check, so we should be getting $7,000 at least.
Nine, Don.
Yeah, was it 9? Was it up to 9? Okay.
Yeah.
Eliminating all income taxes, or eliminating income taxes for people that make less than $250,000, which is 99% of the public. Great ideas. Abolishing the IRS. Great stuff. But nothing ever happens. Nothing. And he still continues to go back to the well, and like he did yesterday. And, I might do this, I might do that. And more people are saying there are memes going around now about how the stuff that Trump might do. I've been saying that for years. This is the gist of this guy. And you talked about Stefanik and people like that. There are hardcore believers that it's even they're going to run out at some point. They're going to realize, well, wait a minute. How many times is he going to tell us that he might do this? He's considering doing that. Maybe that's why I'm hoping he doesn't attack Venezuela, because it would be out of his nature. It would be out of character for him to do it. I mean, it would be for him to actually. I don't see him doing that, but I hope he doesn't anyhow. But his entire act is to say a lot of times doing great stuff. Yeah, sometimes he threatens to do horrible stuff too, but most of the time it's really good stuff. That, oh wow, that sounds great. What happened to no did they ever pass no tax on tips and overtimes? They certainly didn't
I
on
think they
Social
did.
Security.
Yeah, I think that
Did they?
passed.
Okay, I don't even know. I do have to
But
ask some
there's
waiters.
like some serious provisions to it. Like it's not
Yeah.
that clear cut. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I know it is. But anyway, so I think Marjorie Taylor Greene represents somebody who was, I think, Marjorie Taylor Greene reminds me a lot of my redneck relatives. I can see her at a pig roast. You can see her, she's, and then shooting a gun and stuff. She's real people. I think. I mean, maybe she's a phony too and she's an actor, but she does a good job if she is. But I liked her, even though I didn't agree with her on everything. I thought she was genuine and interesting and charismatic, and for him to lose her and not care and turn on her so viciously. And as you mentioned about Mondami, this is the optic. Of course, I don't think I think Mondami's probably a plant like everybody else, but it was shocking for Trump, who I think Trump called him a communist.
Yeah,
I think he called him names like everybody else.
of
So
course.
why did he invite him to the White House? And he's sitting there looking at, like, one of these young girls looking at the Jonas Brothers. I mean, he's got Google eyes looking at him. It's like, what the hell is that?
Right.
At the same time, he's saying good. MTG is saying she's getting threats, and he's saying, "Oh, I don't think nobody cares about her. Nobody cares. She doesn't have to be worried." Dismissing it and saying it's ridiculous, making fun of Thomas Massey. Ridiculing him for getting remarried 18 months after his death. Doug's wife was probably killed after he talked about APAC and saying he was his new wife will know she's married a total loser and all. It's like, again, elementary school stuff. These are the two best people they had in Congress, and yet he welcomes Mondami to the White House. I mean, at what point does he have it? I don't know how he has any support left at all, but
I mean, it's the
I'd
cult.
still,
Right. These are
well,
people that are not going to abandon him no matter what he does.
yeah.
He can come out on tape in one of these Epstein videos that they certainly have, and the cult will not abandon him. That's just the way it is. Like, even with all the damning evidence that already exists about Epstein and Trump, which is more than enough, they have way less evidence that Biden is a pedo of any type, and they've already condemned him 100% that he is that. There's way more evidence for Donald Trump, legit
Oh,
evidence, and they don't want to come to terms with that. So
well,
I don't know
yeah,
what it
that's
would take. Go ahead, buddy. What's up?
I don't know either, but that's become the thing. Both sides just basically say, "My pedophile is better than your pedophile." I mean, they both attack the other side as being pedophiles now. When they're not saying you're and they both attack each side as being traitors.
Yeah.
And I don't know the definition of treason is, but they throw that word around. Oh, he's a traitor. And then, Trump saying that the penalty for treason is death to people that oppose. I mean, just crazy stuff like that. That it's, I don't know. I don't know how I'm addicted to politics like heroin, so I can't give it up. I have to comment on these things. Um, Jackson D. Barrett says the National Guard shooting aside was nobody accident. I don't know. I know nothing about it. I just know that I think it was Peter Seacosh who was looked into it a little bit. And Peter's the best researcher you can find, and I think he's convinced. Hopefully he jumps in and tells us. But
Who, Peter?
apparently, I
That it's a psyop, that nothing happened. He thinks.
I think I'll let him speak for it. But he was just, there's a lot of questionable things. According to him, I don't know. I really can't comment on it. But I'm assuming when any of these things happen, I naturally assume they're fake until proven otherwise, because that's it
I just
seems to
think,
be
and
what they do.
I came to this realization a long time ago, man. I just think that it's harder to pull off something fake than to actually do it, right? So I can
True.
entertain the false flag aspect of this, just like we entertained more than entertained the false flag aspect of a 9/11, or something like that. So I'm not putting it past these people to do something like this, right? And we need to take that option seriously and look into it. But if it is a false flag, people are dead. I don't think that they're going to spare the life of anyone. It just doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, kill them. They're just killing people in Venezuela right now. They don't care. So it's, I don't think that. What's up, buddy? Go ahead. And then
they definitely don't mind killing people, but I don't know enough about it. I just know that I guess when it happened, Trump is. I mean, I think aren't the Republicans making they're making something out of this, right? What are they trying to use for? Because whatever they're trying to use it for, that's where the psyop usually comes into play. Well, this happened, and so now they get to do this, or now they get to say this. I'm not sure. Tony probably knows more about it than I do.
No, I'm going to Tony next. Tony, they want you as president of Texas. Listen,
Sam Houston, cool.
Our politics, Tony and I, are very different. But if Tony becomes the president of Texas, I'm moving to Texas, right? At least I know there's somebody in there who means well and is a real person, right? Mm-hmm. And Tony will listen to me. We'll sit down and hash it out. We can sit down and talk about some of this stuff, you know? And I'll be like, all right, I'm moving to I'm New York through and through. But if Tony becomes the president of Texas, I'm out. Going to Texas, damn it. Even if he gives me a position or not, I'm gonna be a regular citizen, just sitting there, enjoying my life, freedom. So I fully endorse Tony as president of Texas. Mr. Arterburn, what's going on?
Well, Texas wasn't very kind to Sam when he was president, and then they censured him when he was a senator. He made it into John F. Kennedy's book Profiles in Courage because he stood up against the Confederacy and disunion. So I don't know. I might fare well for about 30 days, and then they might roll me through Dealey Plaza or something. But
we nice know 30 too much days. About that, bro. We're good now. We can circumvent that.
And I like how Twisted told me, it said I would give Abbott his walking papers. I don't know if he meant something by that, but that's a little tongue in cheek, maybe. I don't know. Well, you know, we look at the sliding scale. Let's talk about Trump and whether or not he's going to hit Venezuela. Don said something. You know, he said that he hardly doesn't do what he says. He brings up these great ideas like abolishing the income tax, or bringing the troops home, or let's bring the jobs back, or you know, the deregulation, or whatever, or peace deals with Ukraine. We're supposed to have a peace deal by Thanksgiving, and that was the big headlines. And I was searching antiwar.com, and there's really nothing that's codified or anything that came of that from the past week. But I would say, if we actually go in the Wayback Machine, he does do things and follows through with them, so long as it's not good for us. So like, if you look at the lockdowns from 2020, like that was all followed through. Like we're going to lock people down. This was Friday the 13th, March of 2020. And, you know, hundreds of thousands of businesses, the supply chain smashed, you know, an entire generation of children traumatized by being masked, all that stuff that happened to us. Oh, and don't forget Operation Warp Speed. That was followed through on. So anything that is not good for us has been followed through on, and anything that would have actually helped us, not. So that's the way I see it. So if you're looking at something like Venezuela, I think there's a high probability that we get entangled into another unnecessary, unconstitutional, immoral war that has nothing to do with American security. So that's my take on whether or not
he's saying he stopped 8 wars, right? I didn't know we were in 8 wars. How did he? What wars did he stop?
He didn't stop any wars.
He stopped 8. Isn't he said he stopped 8 wars?
Yeah,
I think that's
9 last time I checked.
9.
And then it goes
9,
back down. It goes from 9 to 7. It really depends on his audience at the time. It's like 9, 7, sometimes 10.
We can do Syria. I mean, we're still active in Syria.
He didn't stop anything. They were making fun of him the other day. Like, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, it's like Yemen, the Horn of Africa.
Somalia. He keeps Peter sent me a paper on how he's bombed Somalia out of a ridiculous number of times. His first administration. What the hell? Why is he bombing Somalia? I don't.
More than Obama. They've been bombing Somalia for quite some time. So he just continues to do that, and that goes widely underreported. That's a good point, Don. We should bring that up and do a show about it, or at least mention it because they haven't stopped. This has never stopped since they started. You know, so that's a very, very good point. Also, I want to mention something, because Don said that we are owed at least $7,000. We are owed $9,000 by these people. All right. I want my $9,000. They promised the $9,000. Everybody in the chat wants their $9,000, and $5,000 or $7,000 of those dollars were coming from Doge. Doge no longer exists. Did you guys know this?
Yeah, I heard it.
It is gone. It is not an entity. It doesn't exist anymore. It didn't even last a year. Okay.
It has never existed.
And this is what we need to start asking. And I'm gonna try to go over some of this stuff on my show. What was the real purpose of Doge? Because they did not get any money for any of us. There was no waste, fraud, and abuse that they were able to prove because no one's in jail. So what did they do? All I know is they ripped a ton of information from all of these places where they weren't supposed to go. They have how does Elon Musk know what Donald Trump was doing in the Epstein files? Because he was the one who dropped the bomb in the beginning. He's like, yeah, he's in them. That's why he doesn't want to release them. How does Elon Musk know? He shouldn't have access to that. But they have access to everything after Doge. That's what they did for sure that we can prove. They took a ton of information from all of these agencies. What are they doing with that information? Because it didn't benefit the American people. Where is our money? This is all we need to ask. If you still think that USAID was a laundering operation, money laundering operation, you know, if you still think that Doge was doing something productive for the American people, where is my freaking money? Where is it? Where is your money? Where is it? Well, now it's gone. It was never there in the first place. But any possibility of you getting that money, that Doge $5,000 check, which each of us here said it was not going to happen, it's been totally erased because Doge isn't even an entity anymore. There is no government efficiency. There never was any government efficiency. They had no idea what they were doing. And I hope anybody that held on to the idea that that was a thing is coming to the realization, because it's absolutely not, and it never was. Okay. Thank you.
You're
Tony,
so
your thoughts.
pessimistic.
What's up, buddy? What were you
You're
saying?
so pessimistic. I just think the checks have been delayed.
Hey, some people in the chat said I know Dustin Helms, he got his check. Twisted got his check. Ashley got her check. I know this. All the Knights of the Storm, they're freaking, all of them, they have their checks. I'm just wondering what happened to mine.
It reminds me a lot of people that get tax returns. And I haven't gotten a tax return since I was about 23. After I got my 20, but last year I was in the Army. I got a tax refund. Now I've had to pay taxes even when I lost money because I'm small business. So even if I lose money, I still owe taxes at the end of the year. I never get a rebate.
Well, those tax cuts didn't help you. I thought Trump helped out on that.
No, I'm not a multinational conglomerate with offshore bank accounts. I don't get helped by whatever tax cuts that they do for themselves. No, I think that's interesting because people see that as like, oh, I get money back. Well, no, you've already paid it. So like, even if you did get something back from, let's say, a tariff rebate, when he was floating that the other day, well, you've already paid that in the increase in the price of goods that you're paying for at the store. That's inflation. Every time that you wake up, they've printed more of the currency and devalued what you already hold. So it's a hidden tax of inflation. So just to say you even got anything back, that's not how a free market works, and certainly not how sound money works. So even if you did get anything back, you're already at a net loss. Sorry, that's just mathematics.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it's I think Donald Trump has done some stuff. They're just not good. Anything that he's done. Who said that? Was that you, Tony? I think you said that. Yeah. It's just not good. Whatever he's done hasn't been good largely for the American people. Listen, and I want to address, some of this stuff, because everybody knows it. Like, oh yeah, Billy has Trump derangement syndrome. Well, this is the reason why I have Trump derangement syndrome. It's because this guy's a freaking fraud. This is the reason. Listen, if we had Thomas Massey in charge, I wouldn't agree with a lot of his politics, but at least I know he's a serious freaking politician. We can sit down and it'll be rational, grown up shit that we'd be dealing with. And I'm like, you know what? I'd vote for Massey over a lot of these people. And I'm like, you know what? We can deal with that. Donald Trump has never been that. And I'm glad people are coming around. I really am. I mean, I am not confident that it'll stay that way. Alex Jones, for the 85th time, has flipped on Donald Trump. And he's like, oh, I don't know if I can support Donald Trump anymore. Next week, he's going to be right up Donald Trump's anus as usual. You know, he's done this so many times, and the left is biting on it. They're like, it's all over the place. Look, even Alex Jones. Like, no. He does this all the time. This is what Alex Jones does. This is what Paul Joseph Watson does. It's why InfoWars is useless. Useless. You're wasting your time. I wasted a lot. Well, not all of it was a waste, but a lot of it was listening to that piece of filth for all the time that I did. But I did meet Tony as a result of it, kind of, really. I think we might have met anyway. We didn't meet directly through InfoWars, but it brought us here together. And Don. I saw Don for the first time on InfoWars. So at least, you know, it's not a complete waste. But a lot of it was, you know. Anyway, like, I don't know, man. I do want to play that Marjorie Taylor Greene clip, but there's 10 minutes and I don't know where it is. So I'd have to zip through it. But let's talk about Venezuela real quick. And I know we've touched on it a little bit, but he did want to do this in the first term, in the first Trump term. And we've gone over that several times. I remember the conspiracy theory was that he didn't start any new wars. That was the narrative. Oh, well, you know, he never started any new wars. He didn't do this, you know, as a part of a plethora of more lies and lies and lies and lies that they would tell about this motherfucker. And I would always mention Venezuela. I'm like, well, that happened. That was a thing. They tried to do that. You know, and now they're back at it, and it seems serious, man. I think Tony mentioned that he thinks it's going to happen. He just said all the airspace over Venezuela is closed. I don't even know if he has the authority to do that, right? He doesn't, but he just said it. You know, that's what's going to happen. So nobody should be flying over Venezuela because they're potentially going to kill you. Pete Hegseth is already killing people at random. He's like, yeah, sure, kill them. Kill whatever. Something's going to happen. I don't know how. I don't know if they'll penetrate Venezuela with boots on the ground. I don't know if they're just going to bomb them through the air. I have no idea. But they're amassing a large military presence around Venezuela. Very concerning. This is going to go down, I think. Tony, what's up?
Yeah, I believe it'll go down. I think you got to go back to the origin of this second administration when it really started out of the box with some strange moves that we had not anticipated. Like, and I don't know where this has gone, but the annexation of Greenland was the first place. Then we renamed the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America, like this reclaiming of hemispheric domination, which I thought was really interesting. That was the first salvo of foreign policy that came out of this administration. Now, we also heard a lot of lip service, like, I'm going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. And, you know, we're going to do some deals with China. All that's fallen by the wayside. And it's actually everything as far as the geopolitical tensions are concerned are absolutely worse than they were a year ago by a large stretch. I mean, even the Israeli-Palestinian situation has deteriorated. We've hit Iran. We've had, you know, unilateral strikes on Iran nuclear facilities. All of this is really I think, culminating in a worldwide, and it may not necessarily be a worldwide kinetic war, but it is something that is building. And I think Venezuela plays a part in that. I went back and did some research. You know, if you look at the Wolfowitz memorandum from 1992 about, you know, making sure that no other regional power ever rivals the United States post Soviet Union collapse, even going insofar in the Wolfowitz memorandum to show that we would hit Russia using long-range missiles and other things. They didn't even take into consideration that Russia is a nuclear armed power. That's not the neocon way. They don't think things through. It's all more ideological and revolutionary. And so the mind of Wolfowitz also in the periphery of that was building strategic energy reserves in our hemisphere. Venezuela was a part of that. So this is really about controlling resources. And then you see China and Russia both giving support and overtures to Venezuela. So these are ways to fight proxy wars outside of just going into direct conflict. We are in a fourth turning. We are in in an operation, well, I think that has many layers about currencies and trade routes and um, hegemonic dominance, and I think that's the issue that we're in right now. All these are pieces on a big chessboard, but Venezuela certainly will be hit. There will be. You don't go in so far as to take away. That's the first thing you do. You take away the supremacy of the air. That's what we did with Iraq. I mean, the Iraq was such a huge threat, Billy, that we had control of their airspace for 10 years, and we flew 40,000 different missions over their airspace, and they couldn't shoot down one aircraft. But they were a huge threat to the world, and they had to be invaded. That's how propaganda works that way, as you know. We've changed. Another strange development is just even the nomenclature. We changed the Department of the Defense back to the Department of War, which I really don't really have a problem with, because you need to call things what they are, but they're actually embracing it. Like, this is the Department of War, and we're going to win wars. And I'm like, that's interesting. We talk about Hegseth and his being fit for command. I don't see any sort of the wisdom or the reflection of a warrior. He's very myopic on operations. I don't see any depth or layers in him, and especially if you look at where the United States actually stands on its treaties as tripwires around the world. I mean, we've been setting ourselves up for a foreign policy bankruptcy for a long, long time. Our power is waning. Our influence is waning. Look at the Saudis. They were happy to ditch the petrodollar 50-year agreement. Or the agreement was we would protect them if they would only denominate oil sales and petroleum in dollars. Well, they've abandoned that agreement and are leaning more towards the Chinese, because we've shown that we are not trustworthy and we don't keep our commitments. Especially look at the debacle in Afghanistan. So much is surrounding that. It's hard to say. If you look at the shooting in D.C. and supposedly the suspect has ties to the CIA, surprise, I don't know why anybody would be surprised there. Are we being primed, which is a question mark hanging over there, are we being primed to accept another Middle Eastern war, through, and maybe not a large event, but maybe several events and to capture public opinion? If it had been just a regular civilian, would it have gotten as much press as if it was a National Guard troop?
Damn.
These are questions that you have to ask. And
unfortunately,
certainly in a season of war, it's good to keep your head on a swivel. Understand that there's going to be layers of lies, probably deeper than we've experienced in recent memory.
Man, I unfortunately that's something we have to consider, man. They're using it, of course, for the immigration issue here. But they began to talk about remigration, which is interesting. We'll go over that on my show on Sunday. But this always spins off. It starts off with the immigration problem because it was one of his strongest pillars of support. So they've figured out through all their incompetence, they're not 100% incompetent at being able to do some things, to deceive people, right? To manipulate people. These are military grade trained psychological operators. Michael Flynn, and I would venture to say Steve Bannon, although he doesn't have military training, but Michael Flynn does. And so this is what they do. So they take this subject that people that they will get people support from, and then they build upon that in order to get stuff that they may not have the people support, but they're doing it reckless abandon. And I think that's the problem. People are like, wait a minute, like, what are you doing? But let's see. I think you made some really good points, man. I like Don said, I don't know if he's going to do any of this shit, but I think he's going to go into Venezuela. And does this somehow venture over to the Middle East, man? You can't rule it out. What's up, Don?
Yeah, no, I think that we've come a long way from Trump was smeared as an isolationist in the beginning, because they're talking about, that's one of the greatest sins you can be, and right up there with anti-Semitic is to be an isolationist, to want to actually take care of your own country first and not be worried about the world, and certainly not want to go and and put our idea of freedom on somebody with the bayonet like we've been doing, and no more interventionism. Most of his rhetoric was anti-interventionism, which made him different from any president in my lifetime. He talked about the senseless wars. He bragged about being against the Iraq War. He ridiculed about the weapons of mass destruction. Probably believes there were weapons of mass destruction now, I guess. I don't know. But what he is doing now, after bragging that he would end the Ukraine-Russian war day one, that's what he said. And he's fully committed to that. Hegseth has talked about, sending U.S. ground troops there. So everything is flipped, and he's now becoming more interventionist. I don't remember, Venezuela having anything to do with his immigration talk. Is Venezuela been a hot spot? Is this where they're all coming from? I never heard that before, that was singled out. But now and certainly not going to war with anybody. There was no talk of going to war with Mexico or anybody. We're just going to build this big, beautiful wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it. And Mexico, right at the beginning, no, we're not. And he still kept saying, no, they actually are, But going to war, bombing Venezuela, I guess he can try to tie that somehow to immigration and these narco terrorists, which is a new term they made up, and fentanyl, I guess. And this is a new boogeyman. I don't know how real any of this is, about how much fentanyl is actually coming into the country, how much is coming in from narco terrorists, which they even exist, what the drug cartels really are. We know the CIA brought an awful lot of drugs in to the inner cities, back as Gary Webb found out before he shot himself twice in the head. But the idea that this is uh, this is where we are now, and I don't know how. The problem is, there's enough MAGA types that love the military, love strong defense, and so they're impressed with Hegseth and his tattoos, and he can do a lot of push-ups, I guess. Yeah, then apparently Mondami can't do any push-ups. So I don't know how he won election after that, because he really didn't. He wasn't able to lift enough weight or something. He was ridiculed for that. And I said, okay, that's a new qualification. How much you can bench press? No wonder Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor. But I don't know how we got to this point, and it amazes me that MAGA has any support. Because before Trumpenstein, when I called him, he was amusing, and that's why I call myself a Trumpenstein agnostic. I was amused by most of his stuff, calling people fake news and all that stuff. But it's not amusing. It becomes mean spirited when you lash out at a woman and call her piggy. And I see she was even overweight, especially by today's standards. But calling that's just so childish and stupid. And I don't understand. Like I said, he took a dark turn. I think this is part of the script. I don't think he was able to, because he was kind of he could be likable at times, with his ridiculous his bragging was so over the top and so ridiculous, it was laughable. Now it's not laughable anymore, and it's just I again, he still has 3 years left of this guy. I have no idea what's going to happen. I said I never made predictions. We could be in World War III. He could be the victim of a real assassination, or he could be escorted off stage. He could be escorted out of the White House, kicking and screaming in an orange jumpsuit. That may be the final act of the Trumpenstein project. I don't know. Something. But at this point, I don't know how he can't keep going down this road and the Epstein files. I already kind of predict that's just going to disappear as an issue. It already kind of is, because they voted to release it. What's in it? And will we ever hear anything? I don't know, because I don't think they're gonna have pictures of Trump under surveillance with young girls. I don't think they're gonna have pictures of Clinton or Alan Dershowitz or any of the people from Hollywood with young girls, even though we know supposedly Epstein had the entire island under surveillance, and he had a bunch of stuff in his safe in his New York mansion that they lost, that they can't find. It was evidence of that kind of stuff. I just don't see any of this being revealed, but we'll see what happens. But it's right now, it's just it's hard to write about Trump right now, because before it was kind of fun because I could dance in the middle, Trump agnostic and everything. And Twisted said too much for Don, $2 gas. Exactly. So the thing is, he's actually claiming this stuff. Like, isn't he claiming that gas is cheaper, and he's claiming that inflation is way down? I mean, it just, again, people go. It's like George Bush, not knowing the price of milk at the store. Maybe he doesn't know the prices, but I mean, come on, this is. I don't know how he has any. The only reason he has any support left at all is because the other side is so crazy. But the other side has toned down the woke stuff lately. I haven't seen too much of it. So, I could understand maybe if you had what I expected, a bunch of crazy marches with the pussy hat wearers and transgenders and everybody running around in outlandish outfits, but I haven't seen that. If you had that, that would probably help him with his support. Because if they were saying, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that, I don't know. But I do suggest people, the only entertaining Trump at this point is the fake Trump. If you watch that comedian that does Donald Trump, have you seen him? Does a good impersonation of him, and he goes to certain areas, and he's a much more lovable Trump. He confronted Alec Baldwin. He's got balls, but I don't know what his name is, but it's people probably know. But he just like Donald Trump he'll go to a transgender rally or various things like that, and he's great. He walks up and he's, I love the African Americans, and I mean, it's incredible, just incredible. And he does a real good impersonation of him. And but that's all I can say about Trump at this point. I have no idea. I don't know where we're going, but 3 more years, folks. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I was hoping we wouldn't have to cross this bridge, but here we are. And I would say Kamala has to win, right? The American public can't be this deluded, right? We can't be this stupid.
No, it's what the powers that be wanted. That's why they ran her.
I don't.
That's what Raybo should be saying. That's say he did use the R word. I have a niece that's Down syndrome. I've been spending a lot of time in a rehab center with her because she's not doing well. But that changed my life, and I thought that's R word. He used it recently. The first president to say that. I mean, that's just despicable. But I don't know.
There's something wrong with him. Yeah. He doesn't have a filter anymore. I mean, he never did really, but it just you made a really good point that I want to bring up, and I do want to go back to the powers that be, Tony. I want to talk about that for a little bit, but Don made a really good point. I remember during the 2016 through 2020, and even beyond that, one of the most appealing things about Donald Trump to the alt media, to this community, was that he, quote unquote, pushed back on the mainstream media, and we wanted that so bad that we were willing to believe that that's what he was actually doing. Not me. I wasn't willing to believe that. I'm talking about the community as a whole. So when he would say fake news, this, that, and the other, I would say he's deflecting, and people are like, no, he's giving it to the mainstream. He's pushing back on the mainstream. They deserve it, and to a point, they did. Right? They did deserve that. But Donald Trump wasn't the messenger. Donald Trump was deflecting the entire time. And that's what he continues to do now. But now it's just evident to people, right? That there was a line that needed to be crossed, and he crossed that line for some people. And they're like, oh, so now when he launches these attacks, it doesn't look like, oh, he's really giving it to the mainstream media. It looks like he doesn't want to answer the question, or he doesn't know the answer to the question. So there's that. Also, you want to talk about a controlled puppet of a president. At this point, we really need to start thinking, how controlled is Donald Trump and who's running this government? I think it's Stephen Miller, but I'm open to suggestions. But Donald Trump has come to a point where he's calling people retards, right? And he has I don't think he has the mental capacity to be able to filter himself in these situations anymore.
Did they criticize him much for saying that word? Because that's usually, the left usually good, like I do. They're offended by it. I don't know.
It's all over the place. What's up, Tony? What were we going to say?
Well, I just think that there's outrage exhaustion at this point. They were outraged over stuff that did matter for so long that that entire muscle memory has been collapsed. So nobody cares. Like, you can get away with just about anything. People are just
the left is pushing back on it, Tony. The left is saying that this isn't, acceptable. That's out there but you're right. I do think that there is a lot of exhaustion going around. Dude, I unplugged, for lack of a better term, this week. I was like, no. And a little bit last week, I was like, that's it. I just don't want to hear anything. So not as up on things as I typically am. But I didn't want to freaking have any. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Like I don't want to know what the hell he's doing. I found out about the shooting like a day after the fact because Brissom sent me a text, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this was going on. But because it's exhausting. It's and that's part of the strategy here, admittedly, by these people. Flood the zone, flood the zone, flood the zone. So all of these things are being manifested. So I hope people are at a point where they're like, oh, this is what's going on. They've been saying it all the time, but it's like it's so evident now that it's hard to shift your attention from it because they're throwing everything at you. I do want to hit one. I want to hit Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know if we have time. Maybe no. I'll stay a little longer. I know Tony has to go, but before we do that, I do want to talk about the artificial intelligence issue here because that's part of what America Unplugged was. And now it's becoming more and more. We're here now. So we're here on the New World Order tyranny section of things. And we are officially here with the AI. There was some professor, college professor, and for the record, I don't think this is going to happen, at least not in the time frame that he's saying. But he says that in 5 years, 99% of people won't have jobs anymore. I think that's a little much. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not in 5 years. But it's coming. Right. And this morning on CNN, there was a discussion between the professor that said that, then another professor that wrote a book on AI. And they were talking about, well, the host was saying, well, the wave of the future is the plumbers. It's the electricians. It's this, it's that. And I said it almost immediately as the professor said it. I was like, no, it's not true. And it is for a very short term. But the professor was like, dude, they're making robots that can do all of that now. And they're going to come to a point where they're as intelligent or more intelligent than humans at situations like this. And I was telling my wife, because my wife was sitting next to me, I'm like, we as a people need to support and try to build up a human connection if we're going to use AI and because I don't think there's a way around it anymore, guys. We're in this, right? So we're going to use AI or AI is going to use us. I think that's the reality of things. You can go off and be a hermit, try it, but that'll only be a matter of time. Your offspring and generations to come will inevitably be swallowed up by this. It's just the way it is. So we can figure out a way to stay human, and humanity is going to be a novelty. Okay? Having people serving you at a restaurant is going to be a novelty. Going to see humans perform music is going to be a novelty, but there are people that are going to seek it out. We need to be those people, and we need to tell our sons and our daughters and the rest of our family members how important it is to stay human. Now, before I go around the horn, they successfully conned the people of the alternative media and the people of the United States in general into thinking that the illegal immigrants was the problem. They were going to take your jobs. Well, now we're getting rid of the illegal immigrants and they're still taking your jobs. Why is that? Why are people predicting that 99% of humans won't have jobs? Talking about a UBI. How are we supposed to survive? They're like, Andrew Yang was on the news this morning, brought him back, talking about, we need to start thinking about universal basic income because people aren't going to have jobs. And he's absolutely right. People aren't going to have jobs. A lot of people. They fooled us into thinking that the people in, across these borders were the issue. They also fooled us by saying, they are going to change the demographics. The demographics are going to change due to AI. The population of the world will decrease dramatically because of AI. That's the real problem. And we love to talk about the distractions here. What are they distracting us from? What are they distracting us from? Well, they successfully distracted us from the AI problem. And it's here now. So we got to figure out a way around it. Tony, what's up?
Well, I don't think that the AI apocalypse will come until at least AOC's second term. And that's when Charlie, not Charlie. I was thinking of Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, and JD Vance will own a series of MAGA Cracker Barrels across the United States. That'll be. I think that'll be the only economic boost we'll see at that time.
I'll go if it tastes good. I'll go.
It's MAGA style though. It'll be MAGA Cracker Barrel.
I could put up with that if it's a good piece of like fried chicken.
Chicken fried steak.
I'll go do that.
And then throwed rolls. They'll add the throwed rolls. So you can get rolls thrown at you.
But I'm with it, Tone. I'm fully want to support that. If the food is good, I'm down. Go ahead.
I agree with you. I've read a couple of books on AI. I look into it, especially for business and small business, and it's a fascinating technology. There are people that have psychosis now from like interfacing with it. I don't know how that's possible. You do know that it's not real, right? It's not real, but you have to. But I think if you're using it and getting some of the benefits from it, that's great. But when you actually do interface with it, you realize like this is going to change everything. And I don't know about robots fixing your electric or your plumbing in the next 10, 20, 30 years. I don't know about that. But to say that the population will decrease because of AI, I think that's absolutely dead on. I think that the population will decrease because productivity will increase through technology. So it'll be less and less of what we see now. And that's why things like you'll own nothing and you'll be happy and UBI and all this has been predicted or preconditioned or programmed for you to accept this great reset and everything that's coming with this technological reset that they're doing based off of this technology. And that is going to happen. So service jobs, yes, for a good long while, I think or service careers will be good. But so even so much of the law, I mean, I saw the T-shirt the other day. It was like Chat GPT law school graduate or something like that. But so much of that, even what the paradigm of even 10 or 20 years ago is obsolete. And it's been obsolete for a while, but that's how there's a reason why you can't bankrupt out of student loans. They love that stuff. As soon as we went off the gold standard in 71 and, they came up with, these government-backed student loans and everything else, it just, the debt is what drives the modern economy. Every time you swipe a credit card, that's new debt. Not just for you, but it's currency creation. And so the mathematical consequences of everything that we've done based off of a consumer economy, because and I'm getting off into the weeds here, but we used to be a production economy. And Don knows this because he wrote Survival of the Richest, living wage jobs, the stability of making things. And there's a certain amount of wealth that comes out of production. We've completely flipped that script. We used to be the world's greatest creditor. Now we're the greatest debtor. This goes along with AI. And we're building, this massive infrastructure for AI. Everything is going to be digitized, except there are going to be some outliers and things, certain parts of the economy, I think like the beef industry. There was a great book that came out called Beef and Bitcoin, where the guy puts together and he kind of juxtaposes but the root word for capital is cattle. Okay. So like things that are assets that drive civilization are money in and of themselves. And that's what the book was about. And it's just, to me, there are going to be some things that survive the culling of what AI is going to bring. And I'm not celebrating it, but you're absolutely right. You have to understand this.
Yes.
To survive because there's going to be massive unemployment, and these people will have to be absorbed. And this is where you get people like Mondani. It's already affecting things. And the upper class, the parasite class, has made it so they kicked the ladder down a long time ago. There's a reason why and it's so sad that the left and progressives celebrate. They think that the income, like taxing the rich and all that stuff, that is how the rich stay rich, guys. And they fund your programs. I guarantee you, if you peel back the layers of Mondami's ascendancy in New York, it's the wealthiest of the wealthy that made him, put him there. Because people want to hear that. They don't want to hear, they want to make sure their guy is in control. And socialism will be very popular in the future. Free markets will not, because it'll be seen as, only the rich get richer. And it won't be for, the average person who just wants to, not have to watch his budget to fill up his tank at the gas station. So I really feel like the AI stuff is coming. It will reset how we think of what work is and what employment is and what small business is. I still think there's going to be lots of opportunity in that. But if you're using any of the old paradigms, you are already behind.
You're done, right? Absolutely, 100%. There's no avoiding this. So, you can try if you want, and maybe you'll be successful for a few years, or maybe for the rest of your life. But inevitably, your kids, if you have any, you got to prep them, you got to train them, because that's just the wave of the future. It's what it is. I dropped Tony. If you got to go, tell the people where they can find you. I'm going to stay on for a little while longer. I dropped the link in the chat. It's under Tony's name and Don's name. That's just what happens when you drop a link. Okay. It's for Ckosh. I saw Ckosh in the chat. If you want to jump on real quick and tell me what's going on with this shooting, according to you, I'd love to hear it. If anybody wants to jump in for a second, I won't be on for too much longer. So if you want to jump in and say something, you can also. But the link is for Ckosh. Tony, tell them where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at arterburn.gold is my website, and all my podcasts and pretty much all my links are there. And Wise Wolf Gold and Silver, all that. If you want to turn your fiat currency into actual money, we can help with that. That's what I do. So
that's what I do.
That's what I do.
That's right. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves, and all around excellent guy. Thank you for joining us this weekend. And if you are going to run for president of Texas and you should ultimately win, please, you have to move.
Well, I have a tattoo of Sam Houston's signature on my arm. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Okay, you know that. I don't know if the audience knows that.
The audience probably.
I named my son after him.
Right, I knew that too. Yeah, but
you think I'd have a little bit of some street cred?
Let's go. I'm saying you do, but I'm more interested selfishly, because I want to be free. So I want to move to a free state where not that I'm not free here in New York, but there's a lot of things going on here in New York. Also, nothing's perfect. But if you go ahead and become the president over there, I'm moving down there. I'm taking over your new spot, because you're not going to need it anymore. That new place that you have, it's going to be mine.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you.
I won't. Yeah, I'll have the governor's mansion.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm moving the governor's mansion to the southern border. So
I'm 100. I'm all for that, and I'm going to move into Tony's spot.
Come down and get some street tacos with me
on
the streets of Laredo.
All right.
We'll listen to Marty Robbins.
My guy, go take care of business, brother. I'll hit you up later. Thank you, bro. Okay. Don Jeffries, the legendary. What do you got? I asked Pete to come on.
He said unfortunately he's still in bed. I mean, he's 3 hours behind us out there. No, I'd love to hear him too, but I can't stay long either. So I got the 2 o'clock.
I'm leaving.
Yeah, I got the 2 o'clock appearance on the
Nights of
the Storm with the lovely ladies, Karen and Ashley and Jason Barker. So I can't wait to be on there. But yeah, I just wanted to say we have to provide jobs that pay people enough to live. If you think UBI is communistic or whatever, then you need to get your marketplace going. And you can't have Donald Trump. Another awful thing he said real quick this week, he offended a lot of people, including Laura Ingraham, who was questioning him, when he just basically said Americans, we don't have the talent. Because he basically said we don't have the talent in the United States. He's basically saying the same crap. So he has to bring the foreign visa workers in here to take over the industry, as he took over. And again, that's none of his supporters support that, but he does, and he's talking just like any other Republican. So again, I don't know how that's America first or anything. But Peter, I'm sorry, that would be great to see you. And Robin Lee shows up. Good to see you, Robin, at the end. But anyhow, so that was Great discussion, but I got to grab something to eat in between here before I do.
Tell the people where they can find you, Don, before you leave.
Yeah, it's Substack is the only place that I'm not shadow banned. That's Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. I protest just like my weekly podcast on these same fine outlets, same platforms that I'll be on in an hour with the Notes of the Storm. So people can support me by doing that. And I look forward to talking to JFK with you guys.
All right, I'll be listening in the background, man. That's going to be a dope show. Take off, Don. I'm going to stay on for 10 minutes, and then I'm on. Later, buddy.
Take care.
Be good.
Thanks.
Hey, how's your team doing? He's gone. I'll ask him later. My fantasy team, 2 of them are doing great. One of them, which had so much potential, and I'm heartbroken, literally, because it's such a great team, has just completely fallen apart. And I could still make the playoffs, but I got to win this week and next week, and people have to lose in order for me to get in. So it's highly unlikely, but I'm holding on to hope. Listen, follow me or go listen tomorrow. I implore you to do so at the Gorilla Underground, 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday nights. I wasn't going to go on live tomorrow, but I think I am now. I'm almost positive that I am, especially after this broadcast kind of reinvigorated me. But I do want to talk. I wanted to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I have the footage, but I don't have the exact timestamp, so I'm not going to do it because it's a 10-minute clip, and I'm not going to stay on that long. So tomorrow night, I'm going to go over that for sure. But I do want to talk about just something that she said. She said that there are no white hats coming to save you. She's like, there is no 4D chess. There is no 4D chess. And I thought it was, man, I was like, to hear Marjorie Taylor Greene say that. And it's very important for the alternative media, the truth movement, quote unquote, to heed those words. Marjorie Taylor Greene was a true believer in QAnon and all this nonsense. And she's still a true believer in a lot of ways. I joke about, her being sexy and I love her now. And that's just me being, tongue in cheek. But I do respect her a whole lot more, man. I respect the hell out of her for doing what she did. Like seems to be, and of course, this can go south very quickly, but it seems to be that she is a real person that is like, you know what? Here were my sets of beliefs. And as much as I disagreed with her, those were legit her beliefs. And when you are wrapped up in tribal sports, political tribal sports, it's easy for you to deny anything that goes contrary to what you already believe and the head of your cult. It's easy for that to happen. It's probably an automatic response. And that's part of the Cambridge Analytica work. They understood this. And they were like, here's what we need to do in order to get people invested, in order to get people to vote for us. Marjorie Taylor Greene has realized something, in my opinion. She's like, damn, this isn't what I thought it was. And I think that's fantastic. Hold on. Somebody's here. Who's this? What the hell is this? This has got to be Harps. It has to be Harps. Listen, I don't buy it. Okay, I'm talking about conspiracy theories right now, and you come in and talk about fake. Yeah, Australia is not a thing. It doesn't exist. I've tried to fly there many times. Just go right over it. I've ended up in Antarctica. Antarctica does exist. Australia does not exist. It's just not a thing.
Yeah,
now, I'm not staying on for very long, my guy. I'm just giving you a heads up, but good to see you. How you doing? Say what's up to the people.
How you going, Billy? I had to cancel everything. I had to remember to shut everything else down. So yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're good, man. You're committed. Yeah. You're committed to the bit. You have the Australian accent going on. I know, and you know that you're in Connecticut, but that's besides the point.
What's up, buddy? Minnesota, mate. Yeah, across from Connecticut, but yeah.
Let me finish this, and then I'll let you give your points on it, and then we're out of here. Right?
Not a problem, mate.
The alt media, the truth movement, can learn a lot from what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing right now. and she is telling you that most of what you believe is absolute nonsense. That doesn't mean all of it. There are real conspiracies. The only problem is we've been wrapped up in chasing the fake ones all day long. That's the only problem. Of course, there's real conspiracies. Of course, there's government corruption on every side, but we've been wrapped up in chasing things that we can't even begin to prove. And we are so invested in those narratives that even when it's shown that you can't prove it, you continue to believe it as if it is a fact. And what we need to start doing as a community is demand for facts. So I wanted Peter on to talk about the false flag narrative of the shooting in DC. And I'm open to it. These people are capable of anything. So I'm totally open to the false flag narrative, but I wanted to hear what the proof is, right? I can't commit to that. I can't say that this is the way it is. Yes, the shooter is involved with the CIA to some capacity. That's not proof. It's not. It's circumstantial evidence at best. And that's what we do here in the alt media. We take these situations and we're like, oh, he's down with the CIA. False flag, 100% done, over. And that's all we have. That's the only pillar of truth we have to hold up the entire theory. So it's easy to chop down. When a normie steps in and starts to question you about these things, you will not have legit answers because you haven't done the appropriate research or those answers don't even exist. Right? So what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing is so admirable to me. And I thought she was a crazy person, and maybe some parts of her are. Who isn't a crazy person at this point, right? But for her to come out as hard as she's coming out, and for her to say, hey, listen, there are no white hats coming to save you. There are no white hats coming to save you. There is no 4D chess. This is all a bunch of bullshit that we've been sold, and I'm in here, and I'm looking at it, and I'm trying to tell you. I have nothing but respect for that woman at this point. We still don't agree on a ton of shit, but nothing but respect for Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I thought Kash Patel, whom I have zero respect for, was going down that same lane, but no, he's a piece of shit until proven otherwise. Dan Bongino knows the deal. He's another one that believed, and he hasn't come out like Marjorie Taylor Greene did. So until then, he still doesn't have my respect. But he realized very quickly that all that shit he was talking about was probably nonsense, and a lot of it that he couldn't prove when he got in there and started looking. So I think that's what's happening inside some of this. But there are a lot of opportunists in MAGA and in the quote unquote Republican Party. What it has become, real Republicans are gone. So if you're a real Republican, a real conservative, whom I respect, if you're one of those, the shoe doesn't fit. This doesn't apply to you. If you are a MAGA, this applies, and you know who you are. If you are denying MAGA, but still subscribe to MAGA-related topics, and you know who you are, this applies to you. Okay? We need to let go of those ideologies. We need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And if we're wrong, we just say, hey, I was wrong. Shit. And there's no shame in it, because this is, in my opinion, a very sophisticated psychological operation that's been waged on the American people. And it's been happening for a long, long time. And I was caught up. I'm probably still caught up in it, right? I just think that I've changed my perspective. I have changed my perspective, but I don't know if I'm outside the box. I might still be in the box. I have no idea. Anyway, so that's something, and we'll talk about it more on Gorilla Underground. I'll play the footage. It was powerful. It was powerful.
The way I look at it, I used to think a lot of them went in there with the best intentions.
Yeah.
But now I do not believe that they go in there with the best intentions. I believe they're corrupted before they go in there. Whether it's Australia or the US or wherever, they're corrupted. They're compromised before they even get into that position. Because if they're not, how do they get into that position?
I think you're right. I think I agree with you, but I think as they're corrupted, they don't realize they're corrupted, and they think they're going in there doing the best thing.
Exactly. That they don't realize they are, but then they are bribed later on because they've already been corrupted. And what now? I'm not representing the people. I'm representing the corporation that is the government or whatever.
Right.
It's so they've got to before they even get in there. Because if you're going in there and you're for the people and all that, and you don't accept whatever deals are offered to you, you don't get in.
Right.
And I believe that's the same in every political whatever situation, wherever in the Western world. If you're not towing the line, you do not get in there. And I believe when they're running and all that, they've got someone coming up to them saying, "Oh, look at this. We've got this on you. We've got this on you." And they toe the line from there on. You may have had the best intentions to start with, but by the time you're in there, you're already down the rabbit hole. You're
That's
already,
tough, man.
And that's my belief, Billy. Sorry.
No, I don't disagree with you. I guess it's on a case by case basis, but none of us know. We're not inside. We don't know, But yeah, man. I think Jesse Ventura said something similar when he got into office, right? That they sat him down and told him, "Hey, here's what you're gonna do," that was that. So there is a level of that, and that's why. Here they push the local politics, right? You can influence local politics and maybe you can make a change that way. This is what they say. I'm at a point where I'm thinking that while this is all controlled, it's not a thing that we are in a position to separate ourselves from fully right now. We can try, but it'll be to our detriment. I'm of the belief that we need to start pushing back within the machine and not outside of it, because being outside of it right now, you're not going to do, in my opinion. Maybe you will, right? Maybe there's a Neo out there. You do what you do. I'm just telling you not you, buddy. I'm talking in generalities here. I don't think that that's an effective route. What's
in
up,
Australia? It's allegedly compulsory to vote. I don't vote.
Right.
They've sent me fines and all that, and I've sent them back legislation that says I do not have to vote. There's always an out through the legislation and all that. If you bother to look through any legal thing, that any legislation or statute, what they bring out, there's normally always a way out. So they tried to find me twice. Local government, which doesn't exist in our constitution, that one, yeah. That they fought the hardest to try to find me. The federal government, with their election, I just turned around and said, "No, I put down what their legislation actually says," and that they pissed off. But with the local council, the local government, which doesn't exist, they fought. They increased the fine and all this, and then a month after they increased the fine, they wrote back and said, "Oh, nothing more." Matters resolved and all this.
Absolutely.
I knew the law, and I've fought them, and
Hey, Tony, Tony, I see you. I want you to address something for me real quick, and then I'll let you go back. Look at this here. What the hell is this about? I hate it when people say this, right? I think I give everybody more than enough time. So if I cut you off and you feel like I cut you off and that I did not let you speak, please address it. I don't know. I don't believe this to be true, but maybe you do. I don't know. Go ahead. Tell me, Tony.
In reference to me?
I mean, this is what they're saying. Look at the comment. Can you let Tony talk? Sheesh, BRV. This was Jessica. Jessica probably didn't like whatever I had to say. This is how it typically goes down. They don't like what I have to say, so they don't want to hear me talk. They just want to hear somebody that they relate to a little bit more. I don't think I cut you off, but maybe I did. I don't know.
What was the exact comment?
I don't know.
I was listening in the background. I was going to load it up to the podcast channel.
Yeah, I'm about to take off, but yeah, that's all. Since I saw you there, I was like, you know what? Let me bring Tony in to comment on this real time. And if it's true, Tony's not going to lie to me. Tony tells me all the time the truth, just whether it hurts me or not. So Tony's not going to lie. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, you never have to worry about like this. I don't care what show I'm on. Like if I don't ever, if I have something to say, I'm going to say it unless we run out of time. So
do I cut you off? Do I talk all over you? Do I not give you enough time to say what it is you're going to say?
I have never found that to be the truth.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
And if it was, I would bring it up and we do it live on air.
Absolutely. 100%. And that's Tony. That's what he does.
I try to watch the flow of the show. I mean, sometimes you can beat a dead horse. However, I would say I had some analysis on Marjorie Taylor Greene.
What's up?
Well, I mean, I think if you really look at the big picture, whatever Congress was in our history, it's not that now. And it's taken from somebody who I wanted to run for Congress. I ran for Congress. I wanted to be in Congress. I thought that was a perfect job for me. I remember my friend Ralph Hall, who was congressman for many, many, many years, and my good friend, he said that was the perfect side. It was the perfect job. He's like, I look in the mirror, I don't see a president, but I definitely could see a congressman. It is not the same body that it used to be. It's not the same. There used to be debates and deliberation, and there was deals made, and it seemed like, because it's about less than 500 people or so that represent the U.S. It should be more. Constitutionally, we should have about one representative for every 35,000 people instead of 800,000 people or 1 million people. So I think that would be a lot closer to the earth, a lot closer to the people. Yeah. But regardless of that, it's a dead space. So if you've made a name for yourself, and I think she hit she probably could have fended off AIPAC, but you can't fend off splintered MAGA and Trump and AIPAC in a Georgian district. So I mean, the mathematics are there. If she is anywhere sincere in her heart, she's already going to get a congressional pension. That's why she's leaving after January. She gets her pension. What's the point of staying? If she stays and does a bloody primary, she's going to get hammered by multiple factions. So it's the smart play to exit stage right, take your pension, and get into media, which is really where the realm of everything that's important is in what we do. Hearts and minds, ideas are more powerful than all the armies of the world. So I think that's where things are. You can change and help, shape the nature of reality much better than you can if you go to. I wouldn't take the job if it was given to me at this point. I wouldn't want the job. I like what I do.
Yeah,
that's because I know what really happens, and I know who runs this country now, and it's certainly not the Congress of the United States.
Well, nobody that would be good for the job wants to do the job.
Who would want to be there?
Right.
Exactly.
Nobody.
Same here.
Right.
You got the stupidest idiots that supposedly governing for you, but they're not. They're trying to govern over you because they are idiots and they don't realize what the Constitution says. They're there to govern for you, not over you.
All right. Go watch Knights of the Storm. That's happening in a half hour. Don is going to be on. That's going to be dope. It's time for us to take off. Tell them where they can find you, sir.
Mate, Mob Rules, we're on AM Wake Up.
In Connecticut.
What's that?
In Connecticut.
In Connecticut. It's called Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Yeah. No, I'm not Connecticut. I'm Aussie, mate. Look, it's dark out there. It's pitch black. The sun.
That's not real. That's fake. That's artificial. I don't know how you're pulling that off, but I don't believe it. I don't buy it for 1 second, sir. It was great to see you. Great to talk to you, buddy. Harps, ladies and gentlemen. And that's Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves. Gold, do the wise wolf thing. You want gold and silver? That's the guy. You go talk to. My name is Billy Ray Valentine. Gorilla Underground, 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night on my X and on my YouTube channel. Just go search up Gorilla Underground, and we'll talk for about an hour or so. I might have a guest. Maybe I haven't asked yet, so I don't know. But maybe I'll go longer than an hour. I have a lot to talk about. So that's it. Happy Thanksgiving. Keep eating because that's dope. Tony, hit me up later. Good to talk to you
play
guys.
us out. You want to play us out?
Sure.
I'm here.
Thank
Might
you.
as well do it. You ready?
Yes. Bye.
And you hit you up later?
Yes, please. Burn the place down. Let's
Burn
go.
it.